I get an email one day, and it's hey, I read your book Supernatural, and I'm really excited about it. I have a podcast. Can you come on my show? And it's signed Hercules.
That should have been the first red
It's like,
flag.
right. So it's like, when you get an email from Hercules, well, maybe I should pay attention.
Yeah. I
So
sign all my emails to my wife, Hercules. What's wrong with that?
so I email this guy back, and it's like, he's like, yeah, he goes, look, he said, I'm a pagan, and I worship the gods of Greece and Rome. He goes, but this is going to sound funny because nobody really understands me. They don't understand that. He goes, but I read your book. Because I read your book, and it's like, here's a guy I could actually have a conversation with. Will you please come on my show? So I said,
That's awesome.
This will be fun. So I go on this guy's show. I've been on twice. I go on his show, and the first like 5 minutes is this guy going through all these Greco-Roman religious texts that articulate the Deuteronomy 32 worldview. Now, I'd only ever seen one or two, like Plato. Plato has passages about how the gods assign peoples over, to different gods, and basically you worship the gods you worship because this is your allotment, this is your assignment. The bigger gods sort of lay all this out, like this is why there's boundaries and turf wars and all that stuff. So he's going through these texts, and I'm like, oh, this is so cool. Like I'm learning something here, And he gets to the end of it, he goes, this is why I was so excited. He goes, this is the same worldview that's in the Bible. He goes, it's the same thing. I'm like, yep. And he goes, I have one question. This is his show. I got one question. And he said, now, if the God of the Bible set this whole thing up, what does he want? What does he want? Like, what's the point? And I said, oh, I'm so glad you asked. Because basically, I'm taking over the rest of your show.
I wrote a book on this subject.
So it's like I got to go through, the whole thing. I said, I went through the whole thing about the Deuteronomy 32 worldview, the covenant with Abraham, and the conduit to the nations, the kingdom of priests, the Messiah, the whole bit. I said, now, when Paul walked into a Gentile community, he knows exactly what they're thinking. You just read it on your podcast. He knows that they know, or they believe, that they cannot turn from their gods and listen to this idiot Paul.
That's a popular thing in Indian religions, right? Like
it's Indian religion, Native American stuff. I mean, it's just everywhere. It's everywhere. And so I said, so what Paul's doing, Paul would have gotten the same question you asked me, like every day. Like, what are we supposed to do here? And Paul's answer is, look, the Most High is the one who set this thing up. And the Most High is the one who became a man, died on a cross, rose again for you. And so the Most High has the authority to change the rules. You don't need to fear lesser gods. In fact, the Most High, who created you, not only says it's okay to come back home, but he demands it.
So this is beautiful because, like, I remember stories. I mean, I've never been to India to do missions, but I've heard stories of my pastor friends who'll go over there and they'll say, "Oh, I can't stop worshiping my God. Like, they'll kill me if I stop worshiping my God." And this actually brings the gospel into their context to say, oh yes, this God took over. He rebelled against the supreme God, creator of all of these lesser deities, these lesser Elohims. God he invented them, he created them, and they rebelled against him. And this gospel is delivering you from the power and authority that this thing has over you. It actually, light bulbs are kind of clicking for me. This is
speaking truth to lies.
Yeah, it's liberating them in their context and not like this new thing. It's not like this. This doesn't make any sense. It's like, no, there is a spirit that rules over us. We've seen its power. You can
look at that Indian person and say, I believe you.
Yeah.
I get it. I'm not denying that you're under a threat here. I'm not denying the reality of your gods, but let's think about them a little bit more and a little bit differently.
I actually,
because that's spiritual warfare,
use
right
this
there.
content
It's
there.
power confrontation.
I was in India last December, actually right around this time, and was speaking to several audiences and going into the homes of several high caste Hindus and sharing this exact information with them. And it was like nobody had shared it with them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the crazy part, is they've heard from missionaries in the past, but nobody was sharing.
Okay, ask yourself why. Okay, I'm going to use my own story. Look, it wasn't until I was a doctoral student that I came across Deuteronomy 32:8 in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Because everywhere else, it's like, when the Most High divided the nations, he divided them up according to the number of the sons of Israel. Like, there's nothing to see there. But when it says sons of God, you divide them up according to the sons of God, and then you start reading, and it takes you back to Deuteronomy 4:19 and 20, where it uses allotment language. The gods allotted to the nations, and Yahweh takes Israel for his own. And then you go to Deuteronomy 17, and you go to Deuteronomy 29, and you wind up in Deuteronomy 32 again. It's like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Like, Babel actually means something.
I